Bethany Warren here. Welcome back to season 23 to 24 of our Millwall fan show with new panellists, but the same focus, just everything Millwall. Enjoy!
Welcome to the 2023-24 series of the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking's Our Millwall Fan Show. I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Dawn Turley, Ted Robinson, as this week we welcome our new panellist to the show, Bethany's dad, Steve Warren.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Firstly, we welcome to the show Steve. How are you, Steve?
Yeah, all well, thanks. A little nervous, to be honest, but all good.
And I believe you have a special event to tell us about as well.
Yes, Bethany's wedding. We're hoping for a sunny day. It's been a long time in the planning, but I think we're all ready for it.
Brilliant. So, firstly, we're going to talk about the Norwich game against on Sunday. Sorry, I'm not used to saying that. We'll start with you then, Steve. What did you think of it?
I think basically we were outplayed, we were out-tackled, out-passed and out-pressed. Defensively we were poor, but teams go through these periods. I think the opposition have worked out that if they press us and they don't give us time on the ball, then we tend to turn it over cheaply or boot it out to their centre-backs. I think it's been like that for a while. Going forward, they strangled us and with our poor passing and their continual turnovers, I just think we just found it difficult. I think it's still a big miss for us, but on a positive side, I think Marco is really impressed. And when he beats the defender, there's a cross or a shot at the end of it. So lots of good promise there. I think just a bad day at the office.
Yeah, definitely. Dawn, how about you?
Yeah, it was a tough one. I think it was hard to find many positives out of it. Really, I've always thought that our team run quite a lot on confidence, and I find that when things aren't really going our way or the fans are turning against the team, I find that our teams struggle. You know, if we have a good game where things are going right and the fans are behind them, then we always seem to do a bit better. That being said, I do feel that the subs that came on, Harding, Bradshaw and Maku, and particularly Evans, all done really well, and a brilliant goal by Maku. It was brilliantly done. So yeah, there is, you have to take them bits out of it.
How about you, Ted, mate?
Oh yeah, look, let's get one thing straight first. Norwich are a good side, and they're going to be up there somewhere at the end of the season. I think they was very disappointed last season, and I couldn't quite work that one out. But they've come back with a little bit of vengeance this year, and I think we're going to see the Norwich that we're used to. Let's put it that way in the Championship this year. Yeah, but at the same breath, you've got to look at the way that we played. The thing that worries me, and it's not so much the defence, it was the front line, because we defend in every team. They defend from the front to start with, and in this bit, Fleming and Watmore, I don't think they seem to know where they should be half the time. Because I looked up at one point and the Norwich had looked brilliantly passing the ball across the pitch, and we had them three way over on the left, which exposed totally Roman Esse, who was left with two players on his side. So I think in some ways that Gary Rowett is striving to find what is the best combination for us up front as much as anything else, because that back four has been a solid back four for many seasons, but when they get exposed by what's going on in front of them, we are a team. Millwall is a team. Dawn's quite right about how we play on confidence and whatever, but for Millwall to be successful, it has to be about how we play as a team. And unfortunately at Norwich, we didn't play particularly well as a team. And that shows that where we got exposed against what was a very good side. But there is positives to come out of it. I still believe in Esse. I still think he's a fantastic player. He's only a young lad, and because he didn't have a particularly great game, but then, as I say, I think he was exposed a bit. But he's going to be a talent. Imaku is impressing me more and more every time I see him. And again, Dawn was right again. George Evans came on and showed, which I've always seen in George Evans myself, and I never really understood why he was getting a bit of stick before, but he is the one player that we seem to have that can go into the middle of the park and see a pass that's 50 or 40 yards away from him and with pinpoint accuracy play it, you know. So there's a thing that you could well say that he's put his name up to be on a team sheet this week, which would be interesting. But yeah, I mean, Gary Rowett deserves a bit of time. That's the one thing I would say. I think he's earned a bit of time, and I don't like the way that he was being called names by our fans. They're entitled to their opinion about the football, but when it starts getting personal like it did down at Norwich, to me, my heart sinks, to be quite honest, being a Millwall fan. We're there to support them as much as we can. Yes, you can say, look, that was a rubbish performance. Yes, you can say, I blame you, the manager. You picked the team and that wasn't good enough. But don't start calling them names like that, because that just doesn't achieve anything in my eyes. But so disappointing. But I'm a Millwall fan, and I know that at Norwich we get nothing. When we play on Sky, we don't seem to do very well. So we've really got the result that I expected, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Ted, about the Gary Rowett comments. I think it definitely was uncalled for. As you said, have your own opinions about the football, but and especially when he came out in an interview and said about it hurting him, and then he got stick for that as well, saying, "Well, go on, then go back to your family."
Well, what I was going to say, Myles, was that he was honest enough to come out and say that although that hurt him, what hurt him more was the performance we put in. Yeah, and that's a manager. He's more concerned about his team than he is himself.
Yeah,
you know, and fair play to him for saying that. But that shows the character of the man, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. But overall, it was an awful game. And well, I hope that we can have a better game on Saturday against Stoke.
Let's take heart from games that have happened in the past, though. Myles, it's not like it's new to us that Millwall have had was it Coventry the other year? We played really poorly and lost about 4-5-1, I think it was. We was awful. But the next 3-4 games, I think we won 2 and drew 2, So it's not like this team under Gary Rowett hasn't done this before, but I'm expecting the same reaction come Saturday as we've had in the past, which means it'll be a much better performance and it'll be a bit more like the Millwall that we want to see and hopefully we'll see for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and Brooke Norton-Cuffy coming in as well. What do you think about that?
Great signing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, it was class last year for Coventry. I don't remember too much about Rotherham in the first part of the season, but he looked a class actor in the second part of the season because I couldn't work out who he was keeping out the Coventry side because they had quite a good right back anyway. But and to have had the experience of going to the playoff final that he's had shows that he might be 19, but he's experienced with the Championship, and it is another excellent signing, I must admit.
Definitely. We'll take a break there and hear about our sponsors, G&M Motors.
Hi, this is Jess Tuffield from G&M Motors. Operating from a modern and purpose-built facility in Milton Road, Gravesend, G&M Motors offers a complete range of new Honda cars and services. As well as new Hondas, we have an extensive range of used cars, including ex-Motability cars from a variety of manufacturers. Specialising in new Honda cars, G&M Motors has been retailing quality new and used vehicles to the people of Kent and South East London for over 4 decades. We have been a Honda dealership since 1972 and are the country's longest serving supplier of this renowned marque. Conveniently sited just 2 miles from the A2, 10 miles from the M25 and Dartford Crossing, visitors to our showroom are assured a warm welcome from our experienced and friendly staff. Our facilities include an on-site workshop capable of providing full vehicle servicing and repairs, as well as an extensive parts department offering genuine Honda parts and accessories. The expertise of our skilled mechanics is not limited to just Hondas, but extends to most makes and models of motor vehicles. Whatever your motoring needs, visit us at G&M Motors today. The newly extended hours of our G&M headquarters means that you can contact us from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. on weekdays and 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. on Saturdays. To contact us, call us today on 01474 365 026.
Thank you, Jess. Debbie Julian's here. Don't forget to call Jess on 01474 813562. G&M Motors have been dear friends with the Julians family for over 4 decades now. From my dad Lenny to me, Debbie, Lions together.
Our first guest is very well known to Millwall fans, especially fans of the show and the Lionesses too. He was a director of Millwall Football Club from 1986 until 2008. In 2005, he followed in Herbert, his father's footsteps, and became chairman in succession to Theo Paphitis. He was succeeded by Peter de Savary, remained on the board, and was instrumental in installing our beloved chairman, the late John Berylson, in 2007, who sadly passed away in July. It's the great Jeff Burnige, everybody. Hello, Jeff. How are you?
Good evening, everybody. It's lovely to be here as a guest rather than a panelist. Makes a nice change.
Hi, Jeff.
Evening, Jeff.
Evening, everybody. Evening.
Jeff, great to have you on as a guest at this time, particularly in the light of the successful England Lionesses becoming runners-up to the Spain in the World Cup final. Before I let you chat to the team, I want to ask you, what initially drew you to support women's football?
When the board under Reg Burr and myself and a man called Brian Mitchell and later Peter Mead took over the club in 1986, the average crowd was about 4,000 and things were desperate. I wanted to expand the crowd, and one of the most obvious ways was to attract females to the crowd as well as males. Also, I wanted to attract young people because their numbers had fallen as well. That was my main thinking. But I've always had an interest in women's sport. I prefer to watch women's tennis than men's. I think it's more entertaining. And so I had a lot of time for women's football. And it was an exciting time because it was when women's football was beginning to be thought of as something that you could get interested in. It had been in the shadows for a very long time and actually banned by the Football Association for 50 years. So my main reason was to help Millwall. I thought it would be a benefit to the club.
Hiya, Jeff.
Afternoon. Hello, Dawn. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I want to ask you, was it difficult to get the Millwall Lionesses started and how did it come about?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I didn't start it. It started back in 1971 or 2, depending on who you listen to, and among the very first people involved was our own Pat Maslin. I think she's the one that thinks it's 72. That was just after the 50-year ban ended, and it made it possible for women's football to be played on pitches. The ban meant that you couldn't even play women's football on grounds where men played. Unbelievable now, but there you are. So it already existed and was reasonably healthy in terms of a very small pond of women's football in the mid-80s. My people took over in 86 and I was asked if I'd like to become president, and a year later I was actually installed as chairman. So I can't take credit for starting it, but it was already a thriving operation with a good committee and an excellent club secretary in a lady who is a Charlton fan, Sue Pryor. I would never let her contribution to the early days of women's football, and particularly Millwall Lionesses, go unrecorded. She did a fantastic job as secretary until about the year 2000, somewhere around there.
Hello, Jeff. It's Ted here, mate.
Hi, Ted.
All right, mate. I've got to be honest. I'm glad that women didn't play or involved with men's football in the 70s. Otherwise, if I'd have come up against Pat Maslin, I'd have been walking off the pitch. I don't think I would have fancied a tackle with Pat. Let's say. The Millwall Lionesses team ahead of when you started it, the team proper, how easy or difficult was it to get women or girls involved to come forward and play at that time?
It wasn't difficult to attract the best players in London and the South to Millwall Lionesses because, together with a team called Friends of Fulham, which had been started by obviously girl supporters of Fulham Football Club, and in the north there were a couple of very big teams, the obvious one being Doncaster Bells. So players in the south of England and around London they wanted to join Millwall Lionesses, so that wasn't difficult. One of the things that we did, and Sue Pryor must take credit for this as well, she came to me and she said she wanted to get girls playing, young girls, and there was a lot of opposition from parents who, back in the late 80s, it wasn't seen as a sport for girls to play, and so it wasn't easy. But we persevered. We started football for girls from about 10 years of age upwards. And I remember we staged a tournament with the help of Lewisham Council over Beckenham Place Park. And I think we had 3 age groups, it was 5 aside, and we just invited everyone we could think of. And to our amazement, about 300 or 400 girls turned up, most of whom were rubbing their eyes in disbelief at seeing so many girls that wanted to play football. So we really pioneered girls' football, and in 1992 or 3, we were awarded the first ever FA Centre of Excellence for Millwall Lionesses. It was the first Centre of Excellence for girls for many, no one followed us for a number of years, and so we did pioneer that. That wasn't easy because there was sometimes parental opposition, but the demand from girls to play was staggering, and so it helped us build the club. It really did.
Evening, Jeff. It's Steve here.
Good evening, Steve.
Good evening. What were your most memorable moments and successes with the Millwall Lionesses?
Well, I really enjoyed it from the time I got involved because it was a very well-run club already. There wasn't a National League or anything like that. But in 1991, as one of the 2 leading clubs in the Greater London League, which was a very well-run league in the south of England, we won the Women's FA Cup. It was a day I'll never forget. We won the game. It was staged at Prenton Park, Tranmere Rovers ground, and I missed a famous Millwall men's match that day. It was when Teddy Sheringham scored a hat-trick away at Bristol City. I think we won 4-1 there. I didn't miss many Millwall games in those days, so to be up at Tranmere and watch Millwall win the FA Cup, that was a highlight that I'll never ever forget. We'd lost to Doncaster Bells in the quarter-final, I think it was, the year before. We met them in that final. We won that game 1-0. It had some fantastic players in our side. Hope Powell, who went on to manage England. The great Deb Bampton, who was the current England captain. There were some really fantastic players in that team, and that was a big highlight. The other highlight was something that happened 6 or 7 years later. I think it was 97. It might have been 98. After that 91 Cup victory, there was a bit of internal division about the direction the club could go in, and most of that team left and went off and formed their own club. And it wasn't a good bit of timing from us because it was that summer that the FA started. Well, it wasn't the FA, I correct myself, that the Women's Football Association started a National League. So we went into the National League in 1991 as cup holders, therefore champions of England. But I think about 8 or 9 of that cup winning team had left. But having started that girls' football, we then plugged away, bringing through some of those young players to the first team. And eventually, 6 or 7 years later, we won the Women's FA Cup again, this time with players that largely we'd produced ourselves through our development system. That was an amazing highlight. And have a guess where that final was played. I'm pretty sure my memory is right. It was played at Upton Park. the home of, or the then home of West Ham. So that was a great moment as well. They're my two highlights.
Oh, it's great.
Jeff, Ted here again. I have the pleasure of going to watch my granddaughter play football, and it's certainly there's as many girls' football matches as there is boys now. So it's wonderful to see in it. And she's also recently had the great privilege of meeting Beth Mead for an advert campaign for some football in schools that's coming up, which was a bit of an idol of her because she's seen her playing so well in the Euros. So brings me around to my question about Millwall Lionesses. As you say, I know we've had some really good teams, and I think my favourite Lioness was Katie Chapman, if I'm wrong. Of all of them, Jeff, would you say it's been the most successful to come out of the Lionesses?
We have had some very successful players that have come through Millwall Lionesses. Back in those original days, obviously Hope Powell went on to manage England. Deb Bampton, I think, was one of the first to play over 100 caps, and she captained England at that time. Among the first ones to emerge were the very great Lou Waller, now Lou Newstead, who scored, I believe she scored the winner in that 1997 or 8 cup final at Upton Park. That was a 1-0 win. And her great friend, the goalkeeper, Pauline Cope, who played a lot of games for Millwall but went to Arsenal, who had overtaken Millwall in the aftermath of that cup victory in '91. And from then on, Arsenal were the giants of women's football in London. But I've got fond memories of Copey playing for Millwall Lionesses. Katie Chapman was one that came through our development, so she was with us from a 9 or 10, together with two sisters, including a one twin, Sophie, who was also a very good player. When Arsenal were at their peak, I used to try to get players out of Arsenal in revenge for them taking Copey away from us and one or two others. And I recruited the Hayes sisters, Sophie and Emma. Emma went on to go to America and is now the very famous manager of Chelsea Women. So she was a big success. I'm not sure she ever played for us. She certainly trained, but she was already injured and interested in coaching and going to America. So in the 1995 Women's FA Cup, over half the first team had come through Millwall Lionesses. So had the physio, so had the doctor. We had a great representation then. In the most recent Women's World Cup, we had a player playing for Ireland who had been through Millwall called Lily Agg, and another player playing for Jamaica. Just struggling to remember who that is. So our representation at the top of international women's football has definitely gone down. We were founder members of the Women's Championship. What's that, about 10 years ago now. And we lost that status a few years ago when the FA reorganised and awarded our licence to a club called London City Lionesses. And much as I hated what went on there, I have to pay tribute to the people that own London City Lionesses. They have done a great job for women's football in London. The players have got professional contracts and they're well looked after. They're big rivals. I'd love to beat them at any level I can play them at, but you have to be fair, pay tribute when it's deserved.
Yeah.
Yes,
Women's football is growing and growing. The success in the Euros and the World Cup will drive it on. What changes to the women's game do you see happening or need to happen to build on the successes over the years ahead?
The success of the last two competitions hasn't come out of the blue. It's been building. I mean, this was the third World Cup running where we'd reached the semi-final. We reached the semi-final in Canada 8 years ago, and were very unlucky to go out to a crazy own goal by a girl called Laura Bassett. Some people will remember that. what changes going forward? There's no doubt the England setup and the underage England teams. I mean, a lot of resources has been thrown at that. Many Premier League clubs and big clubs have cottoned on to the fact that women's football is a sensible thing to get involved in because the audience is growing out of all proportion. I mean, the men's audience has grown since the Premier League was founded, but the potential for growth in numerically among females is enormous. And it is sad that Millwall went backwards a little bit 4 or 5 years ago when we came out of the Championship. But in terms of what needs to happen over the next 5 years, let me focus on Millwall Football Club. They really have got the message now, I think, having seen what's gone on at England level, and they have begun to get more involved in how Millwall Lionesses is run. It is run under the banner of the Millwall Community Trust, and they've done a brilliant job. But I know that Millwall Football Club are going to get more involved, both on media and in other ways. You've seen recently that the club, over the last three or four seasons, have used Lionesses players as part of their kit launches, and that's been a good sign. But one thing that has happened is that this last summer, Millwall have begun to realise that they'd like to reverse that fall from the Championship of 4 or 5 years ago and get back Millwall to the top level of the game where they traditionally have been. And one very good sign is that when Millwall Lionesses had nowhere to train one Tuesday a couple of weeks ago because they share St Paul's with Fisher and they had a game, we had nowhere to train on Tuesday night. It's hard to find a good all-weather pitch under floodlights on a Tuesday, and Millwall stepped in and let us train on the grass at short notice for our Tuesday training session. That was a brilliant thing to do. Morale amongst the team was high. It was the best training session, I'm told, although I wasn't there. And I think that's a sign that Millwall Football Club now want to see Millwall get back to the higher levels of women's football. And that's going to be a 4 or 5 year process. Stage one has got to be to get out of the regional league, strong as it is, and it's possibly the most strong regional league in the country, up to the National League. That's one promotion, and that's the first step. And with a bit of luck, we might do that either this season or next season.
Jeff, what are your hopes for both the Millwall Lionesses and the England Lionesses in the next 5 years?
England are in good hands, although it was a game too far in that World Cup for the players and possibly even the highly rated and brilliant manager, Serena Wigman. I think they're on target to improve, although so is the rest of the world. That may look infused to come as a chance to win the World Cup that went begging, because the African countries, the South American countries, the Asian countries, because they were starting in a situation where they weren't necessarily going to quickly win the men's, they've rapidly improved in women's. Where Millwall are concerned, it is going to be a 4 or 5 year project to get Millwall back to the upper levels of women's football. A start has to be made by getting promoted to the National League. It's only one division above where we are now, which is the Premier Division of the London and South East region, a very, very strong region. It won't be easy to get out of that league, but if we do, we'll be in the National League. That's the first step. Hopefully that can be achieved either this season or next season under the new manager, Keith Bonus, who did take Millwall to promotion from regional to national about 10 years ago before going off to manage the Estonia national women's team. He's now installed, and I think over the next two years we'll see the benefit of his guidance, and I think Millwall will be back amongst the top clubs in women's football in 5 years' time.
Good to hear.
Well, Jeff, as always, it's great to speak with you. It's been a pleasure to have you join us as a guest and for us all to learn a little bit more about women's football and the Millwall Lionesses. Before you go though, could you give us a prediction for the men's game against Stoke on Saturday afternoon at the Den, and for the Lionesses game against Dorking Wanderers at St Paul Sports Ground on Sunday? There could be a big crowd at St Paul Sports Ground with the added attraction of the son of George Best, Callum, Dorking's chairman and star of many reality TV shows, being there.
I'm expecting that to be the case. Dorking Wanderers may not sound a big name, but they have just got into the men's National League for the first time in their history. They've only been in existence about 20 years. And as you say, Callum Best has given them a very high media presence. There will be a bit of a crowd there, I'm sure. It's 1:30 at St Paul's Sports Ground, which the Lionesses share with Fisher, in Salter Road, Rotherhithe, near Rotherhithe Tube. My prediction for that is that the Lionesses will win that game. They've had a rocky start. They've got a huge injury list, but I think they will manage to get that game won. I'd say possibly 2-1. Moving on to my prediction for the Millwall match at home to Stoke on Saturday. Everyone knows that we've had a dodgy week or two. Performances haven't been good over the last 3 games. We have made at least one new signing, a local boy, one from Arsenal. He's got a double-barreled name. Someone will tell me what it is, but Brooke. Yeah, his first name's Brooke. He went to school, so he's very familiar with the area. I think we did well to get him on loan. He's only 19, but there was a lot of competition for him, and he's got a lot of experience for a 19-year-old. I think the character of the Millwall players is such that they will ignore all the stuff that's happened off the pitch. I think their pride has been hurt. I think they will rally like proper Millwall players. If they do that, the crowd will get behind them, and I think we will beat Stoke with a much improved performance. So score, again, I'm going to go 2-1, and I'm pretty confident that Millwall will enjoy a double this bank holiday weekend.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jeff, and speak to you soon.
Cheers, Bye, Jeff.
Bye, Jeff.
We'll take a break there and listen to Harvey Brown talking about the Lions Food Hub.
Hi, Harvey Brown here. I am proud of the Lions Food Hub, which is jointly owned by Kelly and Ellen Webster, and they have been supporting families within our community for over 2 years on Millwall match days. If you would like to donate to them, they have a match day donation hub by the SE16 bar at Coldblow Lane, end of the ground, where they accept any food or money and toiletry donations. If you can help, any donations will be received with thanks.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Dawn Turley, Ted Robinson and Steve Warren. The Lions Food Hub continues to need as much assistance as possible. If you can help bring items on Saturday, then that would be fantastic. Let's hear from Ellis Barr. I'm so impressed with her progress. Keep us posted on what you're up to, Ellis.
Hello, Ellis here, and I'm glad to be back talking about Millwall. I know many have watched my videos, so you will all know that I don't wear splints as much anymore. I'm really looking forward to starting secondary school in September. Thanks for your support along the way. It is now time to hear what all the Millwall teams are up to, and what is next for Garion Rollitt's Lions. Come on, Millwall!
So, secondary school is happening soon, Ellis. We wish you all the best. Eamon caught up with Paul Loading earlier in the week, Millwall Romans and Pride General Manager. Let's hear what Paul has to say.
Hi all, it's Paul Loading over at the Millwall Romans with a quick update. Pre-season friendly on Sunday. The Pride team took on the newly formed London Freedom team. Some really good football was played, with Pride coming out on top as 4-1. This Sunday, the Romans are in action on a pre-season friendly against Bosco, the Bosco team that actually play at St Paul's. It's a 3:30 kickoff. One of the first pre-seasons ready for the season to start on the 4th of September. So not the best start for the Millwall first team, losing a bad result on Sunday. I'm still going to put some positive vibes out. I'm going to say we're going to nick it this weekend. It's going to be 1-0.
Jeff Burnige filed a report on Maritime Radio for the Millwall Lionesses game at Sutton United against Sutton United women at the weekend.
This is Jeff Burnige reporting on the first game of the season for Millwall Lionesses in the London and South East Regional League, and they achieved a battling 2-2 draw against Sutton United at Gander Green Lane. They had been struggling for a while with an unbelievable injury list featuring 13 of their nominated squad, including key players in Chloe Burr, Poppy Payne, Hope Welsh and others. 17-year-old keeper Victoria Gmitarek had a fairly quiet game with little to do apart from fielding free kicks, but unfortunately one of these hit the bar and then rebounded on from her head into the net, and that put Sutton 1 up. Tamaya Lorraine, another new signing, set up the equaliser in the 26th minute by going round the home keeper and providing Sarah White with a goal on debut. Sutton then went and restored their lead only 2 minutes later, but the Lionesses were dominant by then and dominated completely in the second half, only somehow failing to find the equaliser until centre-back Hannah Gilmore had got forward and took a quick free kick right on to fellow centre-back Sophie Chapman's head for her to score the equaliser. This was a game that the Lionesses should definitely have won, but given the crippling injury issues they've had to deal with, they will take the point. Next Sunday, they face Dorking Wanderers at St Paul's with a probable kick-off of 2 o'clock.
Thanks, Jeff. Next up for the Lions is Stoke City at home. The last time we played them, we ran out as 1-0 winners through a goal by Zian Fleming. And the last time we played them at home, we beat them 2-0 for a Charlie Creswell double on his Millwall debut. What do we reckon then? Dawn, we'll start with you.
I want to remain positive. Like we said, we're only 3 games in. I want the team to come out fighting, showing what can be done. And what I want to see, like somebody said, is for them to play as a team. I think changes need to be made to the team. I'd like to give the likes of Harding, the Maku, Bradshaw a start, and the new signing, Brooke Norton Cuffey, is it? So Stoke have started quite strongly, but I'd like to see a repeat of the home game against them last season. So yeah, I'm gonna agree with Jeff and say I reckon we're gonna get a 2-1.
How about you, Ted?
Yeah, I follow on from what Dawn said there. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a performance this week because we could class last week's one as a non-performance. Stoke's a good test. Alex Neil's got a few new faces in. There'll be another side that will improve from last season, I believe, because again they was disappointing last season. But that'd be just what we need. I think we're going to get a proper Millwall performance here. It'd be interesting in his lineup. I agree with Dawn that I think he should make a few changes. Definitely, I think Tom Bradshaw deserves to come back in. It'd be interesting, but I'm pretty sure that Norton, I know Dawn said coffee, but I think it looks like coffee to me, but I'm probably wrong. I'm normally am, but if he comes in, then I assume it'll be for Danny Mack because he's normally a right back. But I'd also think it may be time to swap around the formation again. And I think you just need to bolster up that midfield a bit. And from what I've seen at the moment, the guy that should be in there, and I don't know who he'll leave out or why he'll leave out, is George Evans. Because unfortunately, I don't think Casper the Nori is going to be fit again for this season. I'd keep Amaku and SA on the bench, so we got something different. But if it ain't working, I'd bring them on a bit earlier than Gary Rowett's been doing. I'd be giving them half hour, 20 minutes now at least. But I'm confident that these guys, their pride was hurt last week, and that's normally when you see a footballer come out in the next game and do the sort of things you expect them to do. So I expect a good performance. I expect a good win. And I'm going to be a bit of a deja vu boy here. I'm going to go 2-0 as it was last year. And dear Brooke Norton Coffey might just score 2 in his debut like Charlie Creswell did.
Wow. Steve, how about you, mate?
Well, funny enough, my prediction was the same as Jeff's, really. I think it was going to be 2-1. I'd like to think he may sort of make some changes in the back line. I'd like to see Harding and the new fella in a back five. I agree with Dawn as well. I'd like to see Evans stay in the side because I thought his passing was on point. And actually, I'd start with Amaku. I think he breaks tackles, he gets through, and he puts stuff in the box. And I think as long as Nisbet's playing, I think he'll score. And I think Amaku will score the other one and remain top scorer.
Fantastic.
I'll say one thing, Miles. I do hope that Joe Bryan's fit because I think he's a quality player.
Yeah, agreed.
And we missed him.
Definitely. Joe Bryan, Brooke Norton Cuffey out, and then wing backs. Oh, lovely. I'm going to go with a 1-0 Millwall win, and I'm going to go Tom Bradshaw to score the goal. I think he'll come into the squad. I hope he'll come into the squad, and I also hope the likes of Ryan Leonard, Wes Harding, and I hope Brooke Norton Cuffey starts as well. And as you said, Joe Bryan. So a few changes to the last game. But yeah, I'm going to say 1-0 Millwall win. I think we've all gone for wins. Brilliant. We'll take a break there and hear from young man Harvey Brown once again.
I'm Harvey Brown, and do you know that Harvey's Den Cafe is open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. till late? Well, you do now, and you can enjoy a full English anytime and a variety of lunchtime mains from jacket potatoes with fillings, a whole range of other delights with chips or mash. To a chili con carne or match day Saturdays, we are open from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. There are sarnies and of course the full English too. Tea, coffee and much more are always available. Mum Vicky, Dad Dean and me Harvey look forward to welcoming you. We are upstairs at the Lions Centre where the Millwall Community Trust are in Ballina Road. See you soon.
Calling all friends and Millwall fans, pop into Harvey's Den Cafe before the Stoke game for a cuppa and a bite to eat. Say hi and purchase your raffle ticket strip for a £5 in aid of the MPS Society, which supports people and families who suffer from similar conditions to Harvey. The raffle will be drawn at 2:05 p.m. If you can't stay, winning prizes will be collected at your convenience. But leave your name and phone number on the back of the retained stub with the seller. Various prizes are up for raffle. The Millwall ones including silver plated coasters, a framed aerial photo of the den, a mint condition 1967 programme, and there is a squad signed frame from the 2002-03 team photo, which this can be bid for in advance of the raffle. If you would like to donate something instead, this would be warmly welcomed if brought along before noon on the day to the CAF. Many thanks to Chris O'Grady and Joanne Day, who have already kindly donated many items to this worthy cause for our Harvey. I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Dawn Turley, Ted Robinson and Steve Warren. Don't forget to get down to Harvey's Den Cafe for the grub and refreshments from Monday to Friday on match days too. It's on the first floor of the Millwall Community Trust building in Ballina Road. Talking of the Millwall Community Trust, and our final guest is a massive friend of the show and is CEO of the Millwall Community Trust and is at the forefront of what the Millwall Community Trust are all about. Welcome to the show once again, Sean Daley.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening, Sean.
Hiya, Sean.
Good evening.
Evening, mate. Before I let you off to the panel, please tell us about how you came into to be the Community Trust CEO and what makes it a job that you clearly enjoy and put so much effort into.
I spent a lot of time at another club just across the water for about 20 odd years, and I really got to the time where I thought like I wanted to be in charge of a trust or at least a number two, and it wasn't going to happen at Charlton. There was a glass ceiling. They had a different way they were going with things. They were bringing people in from outside, And I knew the CEO, the current CEO at the trust, and spoke to him. He said, "Look, I've got a couple of jobs coming up. One could be of interest to you, what you're doing at Charlton, football development manager. But really, I'm looking for somebody to be my number two, really." So came for the interview. Lucky enough, got the job. 6 months into being there, he decided to leave. They didn't decide to replace him. What they decided to do was that a trust run it. And then 6 months after that, they put me in charge as like interim. And then 6 months after that, they put it out for a job. And lucky enough, I got it, which came around about December 2019. So I'd been in charge for about a month, 2 months, and then COVID hit and we shut down. But that's how I got the job and the role. What I would say though, I have probably got the best job in the world. I work for a great football club. I enjoyed every day at my day at Charlton, but I enjoy every day here. But big thing I do is that I love to help and give people opportunities, and that's what I think a trust and a club does. We work with people from 4 years old right up to 100, and it's us just giving us those opportunities, and that's why I enjoy it. But I've got great staff that have got the same ethos as myself. They want to help and they want to change people's lives, and that's what the Football Trust does. So I'm the other way around. I enjoy it, but I'm lucky enough to be in that position, I think.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Dawn. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. The relationship with Fisher FC is growing immensely. Tell us how this has evolved.
Yeah, so I think everyone knows that, we run St Paul's Sports Ground in Rotherhithe for the council, and we have for the last 6 years. It's a community site, so we're the landlord, but one of the tenants is Fisher FC. So we work with Fisher for them to use the site to play all their home games and do their training, but also they've got a youth section, and we signpost all our young people and our participants into Fisher, because what we think about Fisher is that they're a local team, and I think kids should play for local teams because around that environment and their social skills. I like how Fisher are owned by the fans, so there's nobody there that's sort of like owning a football club because they're trying to make money. So they do it for the community. And their youth section is very much about every child gets an opportunity to play. Every child gets some playing time. And that's the ethos of us as an organisation. Everyone gets an opportunity. And I've just had the same thing. My little boy has just started playing football, and me and my wife have gone around looking for football clubs for him to play for. And lots of clubs said to us, we've got all these trophies and we've got these boys gone off to play for professional clubs, and that didn't really interest us. What interested us was, will my boy get to play football on a regular basis? Will he want to come back every time? And that's what's happened with Fisher. That's what Fisher are like. So some of their coaches work for us. Some of our coaches work for them. And one of the things they struggled on really was a girls section. They've never, ever had a girls section. We have a lot of girls that come on our courses, go to schools that we work in. So we've managed to help them set up an under-12s girls team for this year. And all the participants are from our programme. So all that team will be made up of girls that attend Millwall sessions. And today we've just announced that we've helped them set up an under-18s team as well. So it's two teams they haven't had, and we're just going to try and help them grow and help our local football teams around the area.
Hello, Sean. It's Ted here.
Hi, Ted. How are you?
I'm fine, mate. I'm fine. So what priorities you got lined up for in September for the Community Trust?
Well, we've just finished the summer, which has been manic, but enjoyable. We'll start back in September, back into schools. So we've got a lot of programs going back into the local area. Kent's going to be an area that we're going to start looking into in September, trying to get into a few schools in the local area and deliver some provision. We're working with Lewisham College starting in September. I don't know if people know, but there's 79% of young people from 16 years old upwards in Lewisham are further educated outside the borough. And we've looked in with Lewisham College of, why are young people leaving the borough to go and be educated in Greenwich, be educated in, Greenwich, Southwark, all different areas. And the reason is there's just not the courses in Lewisham that they want to go to. So we're doing a programme with Lewisham College starting in September, a football academy, post-16, where young people will do a BTEC in sports coaching or a PE teacher, and then also represent Millwall in a football team that plays on a Wednesday within the college leagues. And we've had about 90 people apply for the provisions for the roles in there. So that's going to be quite exciting for us. And what we're trying to do is hopefully keep these young people within the borough. We've also got the media college that's going to continue in at the stadium. But our big thing in September is really how are we going to now take our programmes into Kent? How are we going to now do work in West Kingsdown? We have done some free camps and some outreach work during the summer, which has been very good. But now it's, we're getting ready for that training ground that's going to start getting built.
So not much going on then, Sean?
Keeping me out of trouble, I know that. But listen, like I said, I enjoy every day here. I think as long as, you wouldn't want to go anywhere else at the moment. The club's going forward at the moment, definitely as a trust. So, it's exciting for us. If I was twiddling my thumbs, I think I'd have an issue. But no, it's very good.
You're doing a fantastic job, mate. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening, Sean. It's Steve here.
Hi, Steve. Steve, I understand you've got a big day coming up. Is that correct?
Yeah, Bethany's wedding.
Yeah, and you're going to be giving Bethany away. Is that correct?
If I will, but it'll be hard to do.
Okay. I just want to wish Bethany on behalf of everyone that she has a wonderful day, and all the best to Bethany and her husband to be Jamie for their future together.
Oh, thank you. I'll let her know. Recorded some fantastically positive responses from parents, participants, staff. Sir Simon Hughes, who's a trustee at the St Paul's Rotherhithe summer camp. Maritime Radio have carried some of the clips on the station and said it was great, good news listening. It will be released as a special podcast episode soon. We would like to cover some other aspects of your work for broadcasting. What else would you like to have covered, and are there any new initiatives for the MCT on the horizon?
Yeah, we've been in some conversations with the NHS at the moment. So we're going to be looking to do some programmes with the Lewisham NHS and Southwark NHS around health checks for adults and screenings and all different things around that. So, which is quite exciting for us, because what they see that a football club could engage certain groups that they are struggling to engage with. ID being like male people not going to the GPs. So we're doing some work with them. We're very in beginning to talk to them at the moment, and we're looking to kick it off in October. But we're going to be supporting stuff on match days around health checks for some of our supporters. So they wouldn't have to go and visit a GP or a doctor. They would literally go and visit a health bus that will be at the stadium, where they can have a health check or they can be screened for different illnesses, which is very exciting for us. And then what we're going to try and do is bring that into the local community, but fronted with Millwall. So that's an initiative I'd like you to get involved if you could. We've also got a couple of evenings coming up where we try and raise money for the trust and for the food bank, etc. So they're the sort of things that we've got coming up in the next couple of months that we'd love you to be involved in.
Thanks.
Thanks very much, Sean. It's been great to hear from you once again. But before you go, as you know, it's a tradition on the show to get a score prediction from our guests and panellists for the upcoming game. What are your thoughts for the Stoke game?
I think we're going to turn the corner. I think we always do well against Stoke, one of Gary's old teams. So I'm looking for a 1-0, I think.
Wonderful. Well, as I said, it's been great to hear from you once again, and we will hear from you once again next month. In the meantime, we wish you and the MCT all the very best, and many thanks for coming on.
Thank you for all your support. Thanks. Good night, everyone.
Cheers, Sean. Good luck,
Bye,
mate.
Sean.
Cheers.
Bye, Sean.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. We'll take a break there and listen to Bethany Warren talk about how you can support the Millwall Community Trust.
The Millwall Community Trust, something that I, Bethany Warren, admire for all that it does. The Trust was established in 1985, works to provide sporting, education, social and healthy lifestyle opportunities to the local community in Southwark, Lewisham, North Kent and the wider community. Its work is targeted at people of all ages, irrespective of race, gender or sexual orientation, and runs programmes aimed at tackling social exclusion, racism, knife crime, lack of employment opportunities for young people, mental health and disability issues. The Trust aims to be a progressive and campaigning charity that makes a difference to ordinary people's lives. Its work is undeniably essential to the local community. They have sponsorship opportunities to support this work. Email commercial@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again. Email commercial@millwallcommunity.org.uk. Please help if you can.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Dawn Turley, Ted Robertson and Steve Warren. And any amount of sponsorship such as Ted and Stan running in this year's Santa Run and other members of the team helping with the Christmas hampers makes a big difference to what the Trust can do.
Hold on a minute. Who said running? I might be in it, but I'm not running. Walking in Santa's walk it's going to be this year, not Santa's run.
We are all looking forward to the next game, but in the meantime, here are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans.
First off, you can follow in the footprints of the players and fans of Millwall Football Club as we roll back the years to 1885 and our origins on the island with a history and heritage walk-in tour celebrating 25 years on the Isle of Dogs. The walk takes place on the 10th of September between 11 and 2. Head over to www.eventbrite.co.uk/e/Millwall-FC-History Heritage Walking Tour. Good night.
Millwall Community Trust have launched a trainee programme targeted at young people between the ages of 16 to 18 and 19 to 24 from across London and will focus on providing them with the transferable skills needed to secure an apprenticeship, training or employment upon conclusion. Head over to, oh God, I hate this bit, https://www.millwallcommunity.org.uk/e-mct-traineeship.
Your New Look programme, celebrating the iconic London landmarks of South London, will be on sale at its usual prices of £1. You can find sellers outside the ground at all entrances to the den.
Lewisham College is working in partnership with Millwall Football Club to deliver a unique opportunity for passionate 16 to 18-year-old male and female football players. The course will be running at Millwall's professional pitches and classrooms inside the stadium at the Den, and also at Lewisham College, where students can benefit from a full college experience, mixing with a range of peers and assessing a variety of student services. For more information, visit https://www.lewisham.ac.uk/courses/sport. From my own experience, it's a great place to learn, and it was only today I was enrolling for my second year there. Next week, the show will be back with Eamon hosting Dave, Stan and Pat with a couple of guests. Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team, bring reports from our games both home and away, and for the Millwall both home and away and the Lionesses, and also updates on Millwall Community Matters 2 on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, other social media sites, and all popular podcast sites. That's it from me. Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Cheers, Miles.
And thanks, Steve, and well done on your first show.
Thanks, Miles.
Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night. Come on, you Lions.